Don't be fooled, this is not Repentance Plus. Well, not the one you know, which is the free DLC adding online co-op. This is Repentance Plus, a mod dating back to 2021 that adds 59 new items, 23 new trinkets, and a dozen of other unlockable additions. It has a ton to offer, and there's a lot I'm going to cover, so I hope you brought your dinner with you so that you can watch YouTube while you eat. Before we start delving into the new content, I first have to give you a rundown on what the mod's all about. The mod is supposed to give a more thorough experience to Repentance by adding a bunch of new content to all aspects of the game, which means adding unlocks for all of the endings that the tainted cast of characters usually don't have unlocks for. This means new unlocks for It Lives, Satan, Isaac, Blue Baby, Boss Rush, and Greed Mode as every tainted character. Hey, at least I have a reason to play Greed Mode finally. Never died to that boss before. There's also some bonus unlocks for doing random miscellaneous things, as well as an additional unlock for each tainted character when you unlock one. Since there's just so much to go through, I'll be going through the unlocks of each character one at a time, starting with Isaac. Let's start with Broken Heart, one of the 17 new heart variants added in Repentance Plus, unlocked by fighting Tainted Isaac in the home floor. Upon picking up... Wait, what? How'd you get here? Apparently around Christmas, it's an annual tradition for the mod to update with a temporary Christmas event, adding some jolly new things like this beggar that appears in the starting room of runs. It's a variant of a new beggar added into the mod, but we'll get into that later. He's just here. He drops goodies and gumdrops, you know, he's my friend. Anyway, back to Broken Heart. These have a 0.8% chance of replacing a full red heart when one is dropped. Picking up one of these hearts adds a special type of Broken Heart in a separate health bar underneath the normal health bar. If Isaac stands near an item pedestal for around 3 seconds, he'll reroll it at the cost of obtaining a real Broken Heart in your normal health bar. Next is Basement Key, a trinket unlocked by defeating It Lives as Tainted Isaac. It's quite simple, giving gold chests a 25% chance of being replaced with old chests, which is a chest variant that only appears with one item in vanilla that you probably forgot about until now. Reverse Card is unlocked by clearing Boss Rush as Tainted Isaac. It resembles a card from the game Uno, and it invokes the effect of Glowing Hourglass, rewinding time and taking you back to the previous room. After that is Ordinary Life, unlocked by defeating Satan as Tainted Isaac. It has multiple effects, the first of which granting a tier stat multiplier, lowering the delay between tiers by 20%. This amounts to a 0.61 tiers up on its own. Additionally, it adds a second choice in a treasure room, between the normal item and one from a special pool specific to this item. You can only choose one of the items here. Lastly, it gives Isaac some gray clothes, the same ones shown in one of the Polaroids in the chest ending. Rubik's Cube is our first truly compelling item, unlocked by defeating Isaac as Tainted Isaac. On its own, it does nothing, but it has a 5% chance to be transformed into Magic Cube upon use, or an 100% chance after 20 failed attempts at transformation. Magic Cube has a 4-room charge and rerolls items similarly to the D6, but can draw from any item pool in the game. This means you can get Brimstone in your planetarium if you're really lucky. With a 4-room charge, I wouldn't say this item is balanced. Red Bomber is unlocked by defeating Blue Baby as Tainted Isaac. It makes you resemble a stone grimace and causes you to hold your bombs above your head when you try to place them. You can then throw these bombs in any direction. Also, you have Explosion Immunity, which feels like a very superfluous addition to what was already a fun and unique idea, and it's reflective of a greater issue I have with this mod and unnecessary mechanics added onto some of its items that will become more apparent as the video goes on. It's cool though. A tier. Oh yeah, I wanted to do a tier list for all of the unlocks in the mod for this video. I figured that this is the best and clearest way I could give criticism for the mods that I care about, and it's what all the cool kids are doing, so I thought I might as well try it out. For the previous unlocks, I put Broken Heart in B tier, Basement Key in A tier, Reverse Card in A tier, Ordinary Life in B tier, and Rubik's Cube in B tier as well. Lastly, for Isaac is Spin Down Dice Shard, unlocked by defeating Ultra Greed as Tainted Isaac. It's a one-time use spin down dice. Yeah, I already dislike the concept of spin down dice as an item, so this is immediately going in C tier for me. I just think having a mechanic revolving around the player memorizing invisible item IDs isn't very fun, even if it can lead to some epic plays. It's no fault of the mod developers though, it's just a gripe I have against the original item's concept. This next one is a little weird. Dauntless Hearts are unlocked by finding Tainted Magdalene in the closet on the home floor, and have a 10% chance to replace dropped Eternal and Bone Hearts. Picking it up grants the wafer effect, reducing all damage taken to just 1/2. half heart. Additionally, there's a 20% chance for enemies to grant a half Dauntless Heart, which will quickly disappear if not picked up. This can only happen if the number of Dauntless Hearts the player has is odd, but no more than 3. It's really specific. I think of this heart variant as a sort of shield, like a holy mantle but regenerative in a different way. I think it's a cool, albeit overly complex concept for a heart variant, so I'll put it in B tier. Key to the Heart is a trinket unlocked by defeating It Lives as Tainted Maggie. It has 2 effects. The first one gives Isaac a 2% chance to shoot out a bloody key tier when firing, dropping 3 temporary red hearts if it kills an enemy. Additionally, it increases the replacement rate of flesh chests to 100%. Flesh chests usually have a 20% chance to replace spiked and mimic chests, and require multiple red hearts to open. When opened, they can either drop an assortment of red hearts, pills, and trinkets, or more rarely an item from the unique flesh chest item pool. I'll put both flesh chests and Key to the Heart in the bloody metal things that give loot tier, or BMTTGL for short. Next is Queen of Diamonds, a card unlocked by defeating Boss Rush as Tainted Maggie. It spawns 1 to 12 random coins, similar to Queen of Hearts from the vanilla game. It's simple, but I like it, so B tier. Next is Cherry Friends, unlocked by defeating Satan as Tainted Magdalene. These little guys have a 20% chance to be dropped by killed enemies, standing still and emitting charming clouds when an enemy comes near. Additionally, they have a 1 in 3 chance to drop a half red heart upon clearing the room, making them an excellent way of recovering HP. I'll put these in S tier, primarily because they're funny looking, but also because it's a fun concept. Cookie Cutter is an active item unlocked by defeating Isaac as Tainted Maggie. It can be used infinitely, and grants a heart container and a broken heart upon use. This item sort of vexes me. I get they're going for something like Converter, but this just sucks. Especially on Soul Heart characters, where it only grants 1 Soul Heart and a broken heart. It's also just not very engaging. You use it once after fighting it in a curse room or from a devil beggar, and then you're done. This is gonna be my first F tier. Blood Vessel, on the other hand, this one's a masterpiece. Picasso, even. It's an active item unlocked by defeating Blue Baby as Tainted Magdalene. While held, Isaac does not sustain damage after being hit. Instead, the vessel fills up with blood, and it can do this up to 6 times. If Isaac takes a hit again or uses the item while the vessel is full, it'll empty, dealing a whopping 3 to 3.5 hearts of damage to Isaac. Additionally, picking up a different active item will shatter the vessel, dealing damage to Isaac, spawning harmless creep, and a few half red hearts. Well, it's supposed to deal damage to Isaac according to the wiki, but I couldn't get that part to happen. I really like this, and I think it's a fun and strategic risk versus reward item. This is an easy S tier for me. Next is Needle and Thread, an object unlocked by defeating Ultra Greed as Tainted Magdalene. Using it grants a Dauntless Heart and replaces a single broken heart with a Dauntless Heart if Isaac has one. It's fine, it's a thingy. The broken heart is a pretty random addition, but it's fine. B tier. Lastly for Tainted Maggie's unlocks are Stomachs, a new sack variant unlocked by achieving every other Repentance Plus unlock for her. It's a fleshy sack that, along with granting 0 to 2 bone shard orbitals when collected, can either spawn pills and hearts, or a trinket. The trinkets it spawns are the same ones dropped by flesh chests. With a 1% chance to replace normal sacks, I don't have much to complain about here. B tier. Onward to Tainted Cane's unlocks now. Hoarded Hearts are unlocked by finding Tainted Cane in the closet at home. They have a 25% chance to replace double hearts and heal a whopping 4 hearts. There's an interaction they have with the item Humbling Bundle, which causes them to only have a 5% replacement rate. I can't say I see mods making anti-synergies very often, but this is no regular mod. This is Repentance Plus, which at this point has become a very confusing title. C tier? Yeah, that sounds right. Next is Red Map, unlocked by defeating It Lives as Tainted Cane. It reveals all ultra secret rooms on the map, and converts all trinkets left in treasure boss rooms into cracked keys. It's cool, and maybe they'll update the mod with a new green map item so we can create the entire RGB color spectrum out of maps. B tier. Laughing Boy is a card that is unlocked by defeating Boss Rush as Tainted Cane. Sorry, I lied. This card's actually called Jack of Diamonds, but the achievement art says Laughing Boy. I don't know why they didn't make the achievement art fit the name of the item, but after making enough of these videos, I've learned to stop questioning things. It's the first Jack card that we'll be covering, and it simply creates a 25% chance for an additional coin to appear along with a normal room reward in the current room. These coins are more likely to be of higher value, like nickels and dimes. This item is incredibly weak for a card. 25% chance is just not it, so it's a definite D tier. Next is the Mark of Cain, unlocked by defeating Satan as Tainted Cane. This one's a bit complicated. It grants a familiar similar to Brother Bobby that deals 3.5 damage per shot, but shoots tears as if they were affected by the Brainworm trinket, meaning they turn to move towards enemies. If Isaac dies while having at least one other familiar that was granted specifically by items and not something like Soul of Lilith, he'll revive with half a heart heart, and all familiars besides the one granted by Mark of Cain will be consumed. This can only happen once. It upgrades Mark of Cain's familiar, making it spew 3 tiers dealing 1.25 damage each, and an occasional additional tier that deals 4 damage that has a 7% chance to spawn Ocular Rift Portal. Turns out that in the Bible, Cain's curse is represented by a mark that was imprinted on him by God that makes him unable to be killed, deflecting any damage done to him 7-fold onto a hypothetical attacker. No, I haven't read the Bible, I'm just quoting Wikipedia, and no, I'm not going to heaven. B tier. Trick Penny is a trinket unlocked by defeating Isaac as Tainted Cain. It makes it so spending any resource on a beggar or slot machine has a 20% chance to not subtract said resource from your inventory. I've seen this idea in other mods before, but it's still pretty cool, so I'll give it an A tier. Next is Sleight of Hand, a trinket unlocked by defeating Blue Baby as Tainted Cain. It has a 20% chance to upgrade coins when they appear. So, pennies turn into double pennies, which turn into sticky nickels, then nickels, dimes, lucky pennies, and finally golden pennies. It's another neat concept and a pretty compelling trinket, so I'll put it in A tier. After that for Tainted Cain is Bag Tissue, unlocked by defeating Ultra Greed as him. Using it destroys every pickup in the room, forming an item of a quality depending on how rare the 8 rarest pickups in the room are. I'm putting this in B tier because the word bag starts with a B. Heavenly Keys is a trinket unlocked by obtaining all other Repentance Plus unlocks for Tainted Cain. While held, it'll force a Mega Satan door to become open even if you don't have all the key pieces, which seems good enough, but it also has the effect of increasing the output of the Alabaster Box active item. It's basically Strange Key, but again, and not even blue this time. C tier. Golden Sacks are a new variant of sack unlocked by obtaining all other Repentance Plus unlocks for Tainted Cain. They are like golden pennies where they teleport away after being collected, but these have a 20% chance of vanishing after being collected instead of a 10% chance. It's a 1% chance to replace normal sacks, and it's a very uncreative idea to me. D tier. Lastly, for Tainted Cain is yet another unlock obtained by gathering all other Repentance Plus unlocks for him, and is the Golden Card. It's a card that acts as a random different card on use, and has an 80% chance of not being consumed. This one is more fun to me than Golden Sacks because it adds a bit of chaos and some strategy for when you want to use it. This one's a B tier for me. Man, that was already a lot of stuff. Let's switch things up a little bit. Every 3 characters will denote a new chapter in this video. To keep things fresh, we can take these short pauses as an opportunity to reflect on our life choices, to understand the decisions that led us to who we are today, hey, wait, don't fall asleep, stop falling asleep! Next is Deceiver Heart, unlocked along with Tainted Judas. This heart variant, I'm not in the mood for you to be doing this to me. Okay, it's a heart that has a 0.8% chance to replace a full red heart, and it turns into a random not heart when drawing near. Let me repeat, it is a heart variant that is not a heart at all. This has got to be unintentionally the funniest addition in this entire mod. I don't know how they came up with the idea of making a heart that just makes full hearts 0.8% rare, but it is so funny, so please never change this. F tier. Key Knife is a trinket unlocked by defeating It Lives as Tainted Judas. It simply grants a 10% chance to use Dark Hearts upon taking damage. It's really not that interesting. C tier. Jack of Hearts is another Jack card unlocked by defeating Boss Rush as Tainted Judas. Similar to Jack of Diamonds / Laughing Boy / It's Still So Funny to Me That It Has 2 names, it gives a 25% chance for an additional heart to drop along with the room clear reward of the current room. It's a little better than Jack of Diamonds, but not by much, meaning it's also D tier. Next is Ceremonial Blade, unlocked by defeating Satan as Tainted Judas. It gives Isaac a 7.5% chance to shoot a dagger when shooting a tier. This dagger always deals 3.5 damage and inflicts a permanent bleeding status effect onto enemies it hits. If a bleeding enemy dies while the player is holding this item and it's unlocked, there'll be a 2 in 3 chance that the enemy will drop a Sacrificial Blood object. Sacrificial Blood is an object that is unlocked by defeating Ultra Greed as Tainted Judas. It grants a stacking 1.25 damage up that fades over the course of 25 seconds. Once unlocked, all bleeding enemies will have a 25% chance to drop one upon death. The chance for it to drop from bleeding enemies across the board was added much later into the mod's life, and it only happens if the enemy has 10 or more HP. It's a substantial buff to items like Backstabber that didn't really need one in the first place. Sacrificial Blood is an interesting concept on its own, while Ceremonial Blade has a neat presentation and not much else. I'll put Ceremonial Blade in C tier and Sacrificial Blood in A. Black Doll is a passive item unlocked by defeating Isaac as Tainted Judas. When entering a room, enemies will be put into one of 2 invisible groups at random. When dealing damage to an enemy, all other enemies in the group will sustain 60% of that damage. There's not that much to this item, it's free damage, so I can't really complain. It's the type of item that makes me want to go to bed though, so I'll give it a B for bed. B for bed. Next is Judas's Kiss, unlocked by defeating Blue Baby as Tainted Judas. It's a trinket that simply applies fear and the Rotten Tomato mark effect to enemies when they hurt Isaac through contact damage. This means that other enemies will target the marked enemy. I'm gonna put this one in F tier because I think it's lame, but not without mentioning how beautiful it is. This trinket implies Isaac's giving his enemies a big ol' smooch, because why kill your enemies when you can love them instead? Funeral Services with a question mark is a new card unlocked by obtaining every other Repentance Plus unlock for Tainted Judas. It spawns a single black chest. Black chests require half of a heart to be opened, and can be opened multiple times with a 20% chance to stay open, preventing you from getting more loot within it. In order of rarity, it can either spawn the contents of a black sack, an item from the curse room item pool, a black rune, a red rune, which I'll talk about later in the video, or the contents of 2 black sacks. These are both B tiers for me. Also, why does it feel like the black chest is gonna jump scare me with those spooky eyes? On to Tainted Blue Baby's unlocks, starting with the heart you get for finding him in the closet in the home floor. It's very similar to Rotten Hearts, protecting Devil Deal chance when hit and only being worth 1 hit of damage. Instead of spawning flies, it spawns 0 to 2 friendly dips of a random variant. It's nothing special, but it's probably one of the more normal heart variants in the mod. It gets a solid A tier for me. Night Soil is a trinket unlocked by defeating It Lives as Tainted Blue Baby. It's essentially a weaker version of Black Candle with a 66% chance to negate curses upon entering a floor, with the golden version having a 100% chance. B tier. After that is Fly Paper, unlocked by clearing Boss Rush as Tainted Blue Baby. It gives you 8 orbital flies that can block a single shot before turning into blue attack flies. It's an S tier. I think these simple concepts work extraordinarily well for cards. Next is Bless of the Dead, a passive item unlocked by defeating Satan as Tainted Blue Baby. It's also like Black Candle in that it negates curses, but grants a 15% damage increase when doing so. I actually don't mind that this is effectively a direct upgrade to Black Candle because this item only appears in secret rooms, which is a much more elusive and powerful item pool than where Black Candle appears, the shop. I think it's the best way of doing these direct upgrade items. It is handled a lot better than even how Vanilla does, with items such as Tough Love versus Apple. Also, I don't really see how this item's theming has anything to do with curses, but if I really cared about logic, I wouldn't be spending months of my life making a YouTube video about a mod that you can't even Google. I'll put this in B tier. Bag of Trash is an interesting one. It's a familiar unlock by defeating Isaac as Tainted Blue Baby that spawns blue flies upon clearing a room. It can also block projectiles with a very low chance of breaking, removing it from Isaac's inventory and turning it into either Breakfast or that Night Soil trinket I mentioned earlier. If it's hit by an explosion, it'll break immediately. The more floors it lasts without being destroyed, the more flies it summons upon clearing a room. This can become quite powerful if you manage to protect it for long enough. I think this is a neat little familiar, so I'll slap it in B tier. Hand-Me-Downs is an item unlocked by defeating Blue Baby as Tainted Blue Baby. It's quite the interesting shop item, as its primary effect only kicks in on the next run after you pick it up, similar to Eden's Blessing. Along with a 0.2 speed up, if the player dies on the run it is picked up on, it'll choose 3 items in your inventory to appear in the starting room of the floor that you died in on the next run. The items it chooses cannot be quest items such as key pieces or the Polaroid, and cannot be hand-me-downs itself. As a shop item, this isn't great, but it's okay enough. It sucks that if you don't die in the run you pick the item up in, it becomes nigh useless. It shouldn't be a problem for me though. C tier. Next is Laxative, a new pill unlocked by defeating Ultra Greed as Tainted Blue Baby. It makes you shoot corn tears from your behind for 3 seconds, or 12 seconds if it's a horse pill. It's kind of a nothing pill. It gets replaced by bad gas if you don't have it unlocked, so that should tell you the usefulness this thing holds. I don't care much for it, but I can't say it's much worse than some other pill effects. B tier it goes. Suppository is another new pill, unlocked by obtaining every other Repentance Plus unlock for Tainted Blue Baby. Upon use, it drops Isaac's active item onto a pedestal on the ground. This is situational, but can be very useful if you come across a reroll machine and want to replace your active item with something better. I also think this fits pretty well as a pill, so I'll put it in A tier. Onwards to Eve, Curdled Heart is a heart variant unlocked by finding Tainted Eve in the home floor. Easily my favorite heart variant in this video, Curdled Hearts heal a full heart container and spawn a Tainted Eve blood clot upon collection. They can even be picked up by characters that typically can't pick up red hearts, not giving HP, but a soul heart variant blood clot instead. This is an easy A tier for me, but there's also some special character-specific interactions that these hearts have. The Forgotten will get a bone heart variant blood clot if the heart is picked up by the body, and Bethany will get an eternal variant blood clot for some reason. This is probably another biblical reference, but honestly I'd rather listen to the entire Isaac soundtrack in MIDI format than read the Bible for a YouTube video. Adam's Rib is a trinket unlocked by defeating It Lives as Tainted Eve. If Isaac dies while it's held, it grants a 20% chance to respawn him as E with 2 red heart containers, Dead Bird, and Whore of Babylon. It's quite simple. I've always hated the character revive items in the game, but it helps that it's a trinket. C tier. Next is Bedside Queen, a card unlocked by completing Boss Rush as Tainted Eve. It's like Queen of Hearts, except instead of spawning 1 to 12 hearts, it spawns 1 to 12 keys. This item is exciting, innovative, groundbreaking, boundary shattering, and B tier. A Bird of Hope is unlocked by defeating Satan as Tainted Eve. When Isaac dies with this item held, he'll turn into an invincible blue ghost, and a small blue bird will spawn in the center of the room. This bird will fly away from Isaac, but catching it within 5 seconds will respawn Isaac in the same room in the place where he died. If you fail to catch the bird within 5 seconds, you'll just die like normal. Each time Isaac dies, the bird will move faster and faster away. This item doesn't grant much invincibility time after respawning, but it's still quite a powerful run saver. The concept is also pretty fun, so I'll put it in A tier. After that is Tower of Babel, unlocked by defeating Isaac as Tainted Eve. It's an active item that appears to be one of those baby toys that are actually pretty fun as an adult, but no one listens to me. It'll destroy all obstacles and doors in the room, and apply the confusion status effect permanently to all enemies in a small radius around Isaac. It's pretty fun actually. Another A tier. Ultra Flesh Kid is a familiar unlock by defeating Blue Baby as Tainted Eve. It's a bit complicated as it has a leveling system, similar to Meat Cube or Blood Puppy. It levels up by consuming red hearts, and will make red hearts slide towards it. The amount of half hearts given by the heart it consumes will add to its heart counter, which will make it level up once it reaches 15, resetting back to 0 afterwards. At level 1, it chases enemies and deals 2 damage per tick to enemies it touches. At level 2, which is achieved after 15 half hearts of health consumed, it'll deal 2.5 damage per tick. At its final level of 3, achieved after consuming 30 half hearts of health, it'll pop its head off after a few seconds in uncleared rooms, leaving creep in its head's wake while the body chases enemies normally. This combo is extremely effective at destroying bosses, which is fitting for the amount of health that needs to be sacrificed to get here. This is a B tier for me. I think I mixed up the item sprite with Cherry Friend. Finally, for Tainted Eve is a new pill unlocked by defeating Ultra Greed as her. It's a pill called Estrogen Up, and it turns all of Isaac's red hearts into Tainted Eve blood clots, leaving him with 1 full red heart. When I first saw this pill in its achievement art, I was unsure whether this was some sort of transphobic dog whistle or not. I asked about it on the mod's Steam Workshop page, and one of the developers gave me an answer that honestly felt very unconfident in its meaning. To me though, it seems like the achievement art and pill effect was created first, and was meant to be referenced to menstrual blood, and then they haphazardly came up with the name later. No malicious intent there, or really any intent at all. Besides that, this pill is a pretty impactful effect that can often be detrimental in weaker runs. B tier. Next is Savage Heart, unlocked by finding Tainted Samson in the home floor. It heals a full red heart container and grants a 1.25 flat damage boost to Isaac, which fades out over time. If Isaac is at full health or could otherwise not pick up the Savage Heart, the damage boost will instead be a flat 2.5. I'm putting this in C tier, but only because I've been staring at the sprite for 10 minutes trying to figure out what is happening, and it's starting to piss me off. Magic Sword is a trinket that is unlocked by defeating It Liz as Tainted Samson. It grants a whopping 2 times damage multiplier, but breaks and becomes useless if Isaac takes damage while it's held. I don't know what this trinket is a reference to, but that smiley face in its description just fills me with glee. A tier. Jack of Clubs is a card unlocked by completing Boss Rush as Tainted Samson. It grants a 25% chance to drop a bomb in addition to the typical room clear reward when used in an uncleared room. Like the other Jack cards, I think this is boring and underpowered. D tier. Temper Tantrum is an item unlocked by defeating Satan as Tainted Samson. It grants Isaac a 25% chance to enter Berserk mode upon taking damage, just like how Tainted Samson does. Also, while in Berserk mode, enemies damaged by Isaac have a 5% chance to be erased for the rest of the run, meaning they'll disappear if spawned in a room. I just feel like the eraser aspect of this item was so shoehorned in. It's like if I made the item The Whiz, which normally makes you shoot diagonally, have a 10% chance to reveal the moral alignment of enemies. Like, that would be cool, I guess, but what does that have to do with shooting diagonally? C tier. Gusty Blood is an item unlocked by defeating Isaac as Tainted Samson. It's like Lusty Blood, which grants damage for the room upon killing an enemy, but instead it grants a tears and speed boost for the room. If I could give a lower score for creativity, I definitely would here. Well, I can actually, because his ranking system is completely arbitrary. Whatever. D tier. Next is Book of Judges, unlocked by defeating Blue Baby as Samson. This item is pretty convoluted, and I figured the best way to explain it is to pull out my trusty whiteboard and draw a diagram. Okay, I lied. I don't actually have a whiteboard in real life, so I'm using my virtual one here. Okay, so to start out, Book of Judges. So in uncleared rooms, targets will appear on the ground. We'll do like a little target thing there. After 3 seconds, the targets will strike down beams of light. I don't really know how to draw that'll have to do. And these beams of light hurt anything that touch it, so whether that be players or enemies. Additionally, unrelated to what we just said, at the start of every floor, you get 2 little ghost familiars. There you go, they're happy friends. And they orbit around Isaac. So these ghosts, they shoot really weak spectral tears, and they will block shots for Isaac. And after blocking 3 shots, they'll die and drop a half soul heart. That doesn't really look like a heart. I probably shouldn't have drawn all these things on the corners. I would have more room right now. Now, using the book will stop the light beams from hitting the targets, but only if you have a little ghost friend. And it'll kill the ghost, dropping a soul heart like earlier. That's a circle. Not even close to a heart shape, but it will stop the beams for just the room. The beams will also stop when the room's cleared, so this is kind of redundant, except if you're in a long fight, which is when we're talking like Hush. That's when this is really useful, because Hush will start big attacks like that on Isaac. Kind of made a mess here. Anyway, this item is pretty fun, so I'll give it a B tier. Phantom Pains is a new pill unlocked by defeating Ultra Greed as Tainted Samson. Upon consumption, Isaac will take fake harmless damage and will take more fake damage again after 15 and 30 seconds. Quite a simple idea, but it does have some situational benefits. B tier. Our next heart variant is the Benighted Heart, unlocked by fighting Azazel in the closet and home. It grants a black heart and a 0.666% damage multiplier that stacks every time one is picked up. It also drains half of a red heart if Isaac has any. The fact that this heart variant actually drains health feels like a mean prank. It just doesn't make any sense. D tier. Angel's Crown is an inverse of Devil's Crown, replacing item rooms with angel shops that sell an angel room item for 15 cents or 30 cents for items of quality 4. It's unlocked by defeating It Lives as Tainted Azazel. I don't know why this is an Azazel unlock, as it feels more fitting for Bethany, but I guess Azazel is sort of like a fallen angel. Angels should be able to fly though. B tier. Joker with a question mark is a card unlocked by defeating Boss Rush as Tainted Azazel. It teleports you to the black market on use, which would be cool if it didn't also trap you in there, forcing you to enter the next floor to leave. This feels like an oversight, and I haven't seen daylight in 5 days because of it. C tier. Next up is Cross of Chaos, unlocked by defeating Satan as Tainted Azazel. It causes enemies that come close to Isaac to be inflicted with a crippled status effect, making enemies lose speed over time, dying after 12 seconds. When enemies with the status effect die, they'll release a barrage of slowing black tears. Isaac's tears will also have a chance to inflict the status effect. It's a weaker version of something like Euthanasia, but the status effect is interesting enough to where I don't think it retreads similar grounds. A tier, though we're flying a bit too close to the sun with that status effect's name. A Scalpel is an active item unlocked by defeating Isaac as Tainted Azazel. Using it removes a heart container and causes Isaac to shoot an additional tear in a random direction that deals 65% of his damage. This stacks, so using it multiple times causes more tears to be shot out at once. I don't get why the tears have a damage reduction when it already costs a full heart container to use this. For that reason, I think it's way too weak to be worth it most of the time, so I'll put it in C tier. Book of Leviathan is another active item unlocked by defeating Blue Baby as Tainted Azazel. It grants 2 free keys upon pickup and has a myriad of loosely connected effects. I guess it's time to bust out the whiteboard again. Okay, this one's a little bit more complicated than Book of Judgment, or Book of Judges, whatever. So on top of the 2 keys, that's a key. On use, it consumes one key. It inflicts the crippled status effect on all enemies in the room, and has a 20% chance to turn into the Unchained Book of Leviathan. That's also a book, but only after it's been used 2 times. And the Unchained Book of Leviathan is the exact same as this, but now here's the kicker: requires a half red heart upon use instead of a key. But it does the same thing. it applies crippled on all enemies. And this has a 30% chance to turn the book into the open Book of Leviathan, but only after 3 uses. And this acts the same as the normal Book of Leviathan, which also acts the same as the Unchained Book of Leviathan, but it requires no additional pickups to use, so it is free. And that's complicated for no reason, but it doesn't seem that bad until you take into account it has 9 unique key trinket synergies. So when you have the active item up here, and when you use it with one of the 9 key trinkets in the game and mod, it gives a special effect on top of the usual status effect. The rusted key trinket applies confusion. Crystal key has a 75% blue key status effect on top of the gilded key knife, which I haven't even talked about yet. On a random applies the bleed. And honestly, at this point, I'm just scribbling over everything I did because it made no sense anyway. What the fuck? F tier. Demon Form and Fiend Fire, both cards unlocked by defeating Ultra Greed as Tainted Azazel. Demon Form gives Isaac a 0.1 damage boost for the floor. Additionally, for every uncleared room he enters, he'll gain 0.2 damage for the floor, or 1 whole damage for boss rooms. Fiend Fire, on the other hand, sacrifices all of Isaac's pickups, so keys, bombs, and coins, and deals damage to enemies in the room depending on the amount sacrificed, starting at 3 pickups. 3 to 20 sacrificed pickups deals 15 damage to all enemies in the room and inflicts the burning status effect for 4 seconds. 21 to 40 sacrifice pickups does the same thing but with double damage, plus it destroys nearby rocks and obstacles around Isaac. And 41 or more pickups increases burn damage by 4 times and creates a Mama Mega Explosion for the room. They're both fine, but I think Fiend Fire is a huge sacrifice for a single room effect. A and B tier respectively. Cracked Cross is a trinket unlocked by achieving all other Repentance Plus unlocks for Tainted Azazel. Upon entering a new room, a random enemy will be inflicted with the crippled status effect from earlier. B tier. Dark Remnants is an object also unlocked by achieving all other Repentance Plus unlocks for Tainted Azazel. It grants a black heart and inflicts all enemies in the room with a crippled status effect. I'll also give this one a B. Enigma Heart is a new heart variant unlocked by finding Lazarus in the closet and home. Picking it up adds it to an extra health bar below the usual one, granting a whole extra life, reviving the player in the same room and position when they die. It will also heal 2 red hearts if an Enigma Heart is picked up while the player already has one in addition to the extra life. This thing is extremely powerful, maybe a little too powerful, even though it's very rare. B tier. Torn Page is a trinket unlocked by defeating It Lives as Tainted Lazarus. It resembles an untorn page on fire and changes the effects of every book active to be stronger. This item is what I call a modder's delight, where it has an exorbitant amount of effects depending on the other items the player has that probably took way more time to implement than what it was worth. You've probably noticed this mod has a lot of them. I can't deny that they're fun to create as a mod developer, but it does not make my job any easier. Anyway, here we go. Anarchist Cookbook will spawn a golden troll bomb instead of filling the room with normal troll bombs. Book of Revelation no longer spawns a Harbinger in a room when giving a soul heart, completely negating its negative effect. How to Jump will make the player jump in the direction they're moving in and shoot tears in all either cardinal or ordinal directions upon landing, inheriting Isaac's tear modifiers and damage. The tears move very slowly though. Monster Manual and Book of Secrets both retain 2 charges when using on top of their usual effects. Satanic Bible will give the usual black heart and a choice of 2 Devil Deal items in the boss room instead of just 1, or 3 if the player has theirs options. Telepathy for Dummies grants the whiz for the room on top of homing, allowing Isaac to shoot 2 cross shots at the same time. The Bible removes a broken heart on top of flight, or has a 25% chance to add an eternal heart if the player has no broken heart. Book of Belial grants Eye of Belial for the room on top of the usual effect, granting piercing tears that home in on enemies after passing through one. Book of Sin has a 3% chance to spawn an item or chest instead of the usual pickup. Book of the Dead grants a bone heart on top of the usual effect. Book of Virtues will passively give new wisps 1.5 times more health. Limigeddon can now be used at partial charge at the cost of some health. Book of Shadows grants invincibility for longer. Book of Leviathan will no longer require a key for its effect. Book of Judges will inflict burning damage for twice as long and for twice as much damage. Lastly, there's also an effect for Book of Genesis, but we haven't talked about that item yet, so just forget I said anything. The trinket is cool, but I'm not a fan of how complicated it is. I think Birthright has caused irreversible damage to the Mana ecosystem. Anyway, it's a C tier. Jack of Spades is a card unlocked by defeating Boss Rush as Tainted Lazarus. If used in an uncleared room, it grants a 25% chance for an extra key to spawn after the room is cleared. D tier. DNA Redactor is unlocked by defeating Satan as Tainted Lazarus and revives Isaac in the same room as a random character upon death, but only if he's holding a pill. This item is stupid and infuriating and is powerful but annoying, and I hate it, but it's also really funny, so it's gonna go in A tier. A Cat in the Box is an active item unlocked by defeating Isaac as Tainted Lazarus. It has the very unique effect of completely freezing enemies outside of Isaac's line of sight, preventing them from being damaged and from doing anything at all. It's very cool, and I like how there are situations where it isn't always beneficial, so for me it's an S tier. Nerve Pinch is a passive item unlocked by defeating Blue Baby as Tainted Lazarus. It's activated by double tapping a fire direction and will permanently lower Isaac's speed by 0.03 on use in exchange for an 80% chance to instantly use your active item. It also has a 1 in 1,000 chance to trigger itself randomly while Isaac is walking around. That last tidbit is weird, but it's so rare that I can't really care. C tier. Next are 2 pills unlocked by defeating Ultra Greed as Tainted Lazarus, known as Yum and Yuck. Yum spawns 2 to 5 half red hearts. It grants very minor stat boosts for picking up red hearts for the next 30 seconds. On the other hand, Yuck spawns a rotten heart and spawns 1 blue fly for every half of a heart healed by picking up red hearts. They're a little complicated for pills, but I like them. A tier. Finally, for Tainted Lazarus are white sacks, unlocked by obtaining all other Repentance Plus marks as him. They're a direct inverse of black sacks, having a 1% chance of replacing a normal sack. They can spawn 2 to 3 cards or runes, a single half soul heart or eternal heart, or some keys. B for basic. Capricious Hearts are unlocked by finding Tainted Eden and Home. They're like sacks but for heart variants, spawning 1 to 3 hearts on pickup. I've seen it before. D tier. Eden's Lock is a trinket unlocked by defeating It Lives as Tainted Eden. When Isaac takes damage that isn't self-inflicted, one of his passive items will be rerolled into a different passive item from any item pool. Well, that's supposed to happen, at least, but as of editing this video, it doesn't seem to be working. The concept of the trinket's pretty interesting though, and I could see it being pretty powerful if you're patient. A tier. Valentine's Day card is unlocked by completing Boss Rush as Tainted Eden. It spawns 1 full red heart upon use and throws itself in the direction Isaac is moving like Chaos card. If a non-boss enemy is hit by the card, it'll become permanently charmed and follow Isaac between rooms. The card moves pretty slowly and has a short range, so it's pretty hard to hit things with it, but I like the concept a lot. A tier. Book of Genesis is an active item unlocked by defeating Satan as Tainted Eden, and is the last book item I'll be covering in the mod. This one's actually pretty simple, so I promise I won't bring out the whiteboard again. On use, it removes a random passive item from Isaac's inventory and presents a choice of 3 items of the same quality, only allowing Isaac to take 1. It's very powerful and a little busted at times, but that's what makes it fun to me. A tier. Next is Magic Pen, a passive item unlocked by defeating Isaac as Tainted Eden. It'll instantly spew a line of color-changing creep in the direction Isaac is double tap firing in, inflicting enemies that walk over it with various random status effects. After use, it goes on cooldown for 4 seconds before it can be activated again. Another A tier. After that is Magic Marker, an active item unlocked by defeating Blue Baby as Tainted Eden. On use, if Isaac is holding a card, the card will be transformed into the tarot card with its number plus 1. So that means that the Fool, which has a number of 0, gets transformed into the Magician, which is a number of 1. Using it on the card with the highest number, the World will just wrap it around back to 1. Reverse tarot cards follow the same logic here, except the number is decremented by 1. A 4-room charge makes for a really nice level of strength and allows patient and knowledgeable players to take control over their runs. It's honestly S tier. Very nice. Wait a minute. This item is from 4 Souls, the Isaac card game. Actually, a lot of items in the mod are directly inspired by 4 Souls cards. I've had a rocky relationships with 4 Souls in the past. It's definitely one of those games you can ruin friendships over, but it's very fun. Mirrored Landscape is a card unlocked by defeating Ultra Greed as Tainted Eden. It has the simple yet powerful effect of moving Isaac's active item to the pocket active slot, dropping your pocket active as an item pedestal if you already had one. If Isaac doesn't have an active item, this card just does nothing. A tier. Baleful Hearts are a new heart variant unlocked by finding the Lost in the Closet and Home. They cover the last heart in your health bar like gold hearts, spawning purgatory ghosts every couple of seconds while nearby enemies. The more baleful hearts you have, the farther away you can be from enemies while still spawning ghosts. Having only a 10% chance to replace eternal hearts, which are already very rare, I think this is a strong but fairly powered heart variant. It's like a more powerful rotten heart, except it's not worth half a heart and is much more elusive. B tier. A piece of chalk is a trinket unlocked by defeating It Lives as Tainted Lost. For the first 5 seconds of an uncleared room, Isaac will leave a trail of dust under himself, which severely slows down grounded enemies. The chalk disappears after a while, but the enemies are effectively halted in their tracks all over the chalk. A tier. Cursed Card is unlocked by completing Boss Rush as Tainted Lost. On use, it will negate any damage Isaac takes until you leave the room, instead giving him 1 broken heart and a small but permanent tears up. It's great for when you're low on health and are about to enter a long fight, exchanging any health you would have lost for lower maximum health. It's a little risky and I like that. B tier. Cherubim is a familiar unlocked by defeating Satan as Tainted Lost. It shoots Godhead tears, and it's white. It's white. I'm sure it's a very interesting familiar if you've never seen the color white before. That has some merit, so I'll move it from F to D tier. Soul Bond is an active item unlocked by defeating Isaac as Tainted Lost. It'll chain Isaac to a nearby enemy. The chain itself does a very small amount of damage to enemies that touch it, although the damage grows a little higher depending on how late into the game you are. The main benefit is that the enemy you're chained to is completely frozen and has a 33% chance to drop a full soul heart on death. If you walk too far away from the enemy you have chained, the chain will just break. B tier. Angel's Wings is a passive item unlocked by defeating Blue Baby as Tainted Lost. This item has a good chunk of effects. Maybe too many. First of all, it'll grant a 0.3 shot speed up and replace your tears with these staticky feathers, the same ones shot by Dogma. These tears pierce through enemies and deal slightly more damage depending on how long they've been in the air. On top of that, it has 3 different effects that it cycles through whenever you double tap a fire direction, all themed around Dogma. The first one spawns a staticky angel baby that floats around before dashing towards an enemy and exploding. After a 4-second cooldown, you're able to double tap again to do the next attack, which shoots 3 Dogma feather tears with Godhead auras. After another 4-second cooldown, you can use the next attack, which shoots a staticky brimstone laser that lasts longer depending on how much range you have. There's then a 6-second cooldown before it cycles back to the first attack. This is yet another active item that I think is overcomplicated from having way too many mechanics crammed into one package, and I wish it would just choose 1 secondary attack to have instead of cycling between 3. C tier. Spiritual Reserves is a card unlocked by defeating Ultra Greed as Tainted Lost. It spawns 2 ghost familiars which orbit around Isaac, blocking shots and shooting weak spectral tears. After a ghost blocks 3 shots, it'll die, dropping a half soul heart. These ghosts are the same ones from Book of Judges, which I talked about earlier in the video. Now, I don't know why these ghosts were reused for Book of Judges, but I can't blame them for it. I mean, you can't call it stealing if you're stealing from yourself. B tier. My Soul, not to be confused with Lost Soul, Found Soul, True Soul, Forced Soul, New Soul, Artificial Soul, Anti-Soul, Soul Slop, Soul, Soul, or Your Soul is a trinket unlocked by obtaining all other Repentance Plus unlocks for Tainted Lost. It circles around Isaac, blocking shots and shooting weak spectral tears which deal 2 damage each. C tier. Spiritual Amends is an item also unlocked by obtaining all other Repentance Plus unlocks for Tainted Lost. It grants a 50% chance to spawn a ghost from Spiritual Reserves when taking damage on the Sacrifice Room spikes. On top of that, these ghosts now drop Eternal Hearts instead of Soul Hearts. C tier. Next is Harlot Heart, a heart variant unlocked by finding Lilith in the closet in home. You'd think it would heal 1 big heart and 1 tiny heart judging from the sprite, but it actually only heals half of a red heart. It slowly slides towards you and grants a Gemini familiar with a slightly different sprite on pickup. It's the definition of a shrug. B tier. Baby Shoes is a trinket unlocked by defeating It Lives as Tainted Lilith. It reduces the size and hitbox of all enemies by 10%, making them harder to hit, but making it harder for them to hit you. It's an interesting concept, but it doesn't end up amounting to much. D tier. Queen of Clubs is a card unlocked by completing Boss Rush as Tainted Lilith that spawns 1 to 12 random bombs. Truly a revolutionary idea, this is up there with the likes of the Light Bulb, Refrigeration, and 1 Square Minesweeper. C tier. Next is Rejection, an active item unlocked by defeating Satan as Tainted Lilith. It passively grants a familiar that follows Isaac, doing nothing on its own besides dealing a small amount of contact damage per tick. On use, Isaac... Okay, this sentence is about to get rough. On use, Isaac consumes all of his familiars and projectile aborts them by attacking in any direction. This fetal clump does more damage depending on your damage stat and how many familiars were consumed. Your familiars will return in the next room. It's a very interesting concept that I'm going to regret saying out loud later. Somehow though, this item fits right in thematically with other items in Repentance, and it's a fun way to repurpose lots of familiars that you aren't getting much use of anyway. B tier. Mother's Love is an item unlocked by defeating Isaac as Tainted Lilith. It drops Soul of Lilith on pickup, granting 1 random familiar, and also grants an all stats up for every familiar Isaac has. The amount of stats it grants per familiar depends on the rarity of that familiar. There's a huge list of stat multipliers in the code, but just keep in mind that rare familiars tend to give better stats. These stats aren't immense, but it's a nice bonus that can get powerful pretty quickly. A tier. Friendly Sack is a familiar unlocked by defeating Blue Baby as Tainted Lilith. Every 3 rooms, it drops either a Blue Fly, Blue Spider, Locust, Friendly Dip, Giant Cell Mini Isaac, Tainted Eve Bloodclot, or a Book of Virtue's Wisp. It can also grant a friendly monster if the payout was completed in a boss room. Now, I know what you're thinking. The name Friendly Sack must imply the existence of an evil sack, right? For that reason, I believe that behind that shit-eating grin, there's a much more sinister secret to uncover, and I'm not having it. I'm gonna put it in the quarantine for now, but if this thing starts moving on its own, just know that I warned you. Mom's ID is a card unlocked by defeating Ultra Greed as Tainted Lilith. It drops a knife on all enemies that deals 2 times Isaac's damage. While this might sound good, it's actually very weak, and often ends up being a worse death card. F tier. Miser Heart is a heart variant unlocked by finding Keeper in the home floor. They're depleted in 1 hit, spawning 2 blue spiders when clearing a room, and reducing the price of shop items by 17.5%. The price reduction stacks with multiple Miser Hearts. As far as adding random new heart variants goes, this one isn't that bad. A tier. Can't even get it as Keeper. I can't even get it as the character that I unlocked it on. Greed's Heart is a trinket unlocked by defeating It Lives as Tainted Keeper. It grants an empty coin heart to the side of your HP that is depleted before any of Isaac's regular hearts. Coin hearts are worth a single hit and can be refilled by picking up any coin. Unfortunately, I couldn't get this working, and I'm just working off the wiki and the code to get this description. I promise I'm not doing this on purpose. I think I'm just cursed to break everything I touch. The concept is very cool though, so I'm putting it in S tier anyway. King of Diamonds is a card unlocked by completing Boss Rush as Tainted Keeper. It consumes up to 66 of Isaac's coins and spawns a random number of pickups proportional to the amount of money removed. It also has a rare chance to spawn items or trinkets, with this chance growing with the amount of coins removed, becoming guaranteed at 24 coins. This guarantee can happen again at 42 coins, granting an additional item or trinket. B tier. 2+1 is an item unlocked by defeating Satan as Tainted Keeper. It makes every 3rd shop item purchased on a floor cost only a single cent. It also presents an interesting mathematical equation, asking the player what 2+1 is equal to. Can you solve the puzzle? Correct, the answer is 21, B tier. Auction Gavel is an active item unlocked by defeating Isaac as Tainted Keeper. On use, it spawns a shop item on the floor next to Isaac, starting at the price of 22, but quickly rising in value until it reaches 99. This item disappears upon exiting the room. What? They change it? Oh, it's just broken. I like how it feels like a real auction, even if you're only really bidding against yourself. B tier. Keeper's Penny is an item unlocked by defeating Blue Baby as Tainted Keeper. It spawns a golden penny at the start of every floor and causes shops to spawn 1 to 4 additional shop, treasure, or boss room items. Additionally, it'll spawn 3 to 4 items to be purchased if the shop was a greed site. A tier. Loaded Dice is an object unlocked by defeating Ultra Greed as Tainted Keeper. It grants +10 luck for the room, making valuable room drops more common and increasing the chance for tier modifiers to proc. B tier. Lastly for Tainted Keeper is Keeper's Annoying Fly, a familiar unlocked by obtaining all other Repentance Plus unlocks as him. It grants an orbiting gray fly that deals 1.5 damage per tick, but increases in contact damage by 3% for every player tier it blocks. This contact damage boost resets upon entering a new room. It can also block enemy projectiles, but it won't gain contact damage. D tier. Empty Heart is a heart variant unlocked by finding Apollyon in the closet in home. It covers the last heart in Isaac's health bar, removing itself once the heart is depleted. For every empty heart the player has, it grants a permanent Abyss Locust at the beginning of every new floor. This feels pretty busted, since this is basically a permanent DPS up in the form of a heart variant. I suppose it's not too different from an Eternal Heart, but at least that disappears after giving you a heart container. I think this could have been executed better, but a solid idea is somewhere in there. B tier. Shattered Stone is a trinket unlocked by defeating It Lives as Tainted Isaac. It grants a 20% chance to spawn a random locust upon collecting a pickup. The more rare and valuable the pickup is, the higher the chances. I like any item that utilizes these locusts more often, so this is going in A tier. King of Spades is a card unlocked by completing Boss Rush as Tainted Apollyon. It consumes up to 33 of Isaac's keys keys and spawns a random number of pickups proportional to the amount of keys removed. The chances for an item are guaranteed at 12 and 21 keys, and you get more pickups if you had a golden key, which will also be consumed. A solid B tier. Sinner's Heart is an item unlocked by defeating Satan as Tainted Apollyon. It's like the devilish version of Sacred Heart, granting 2 block hearts, 2 damage, a 1.5 times damage multiplier, 2 range, and lowered shot speed. It also grants Spectral and Piercing tiers, but unlike Sacred Heart, does not grant homing. I like simple items like this, so it goes in B tier. Bottomless Bag is an active item unlocked by defeating Isaac as Tainted Apollyon. On use, Isaac will hold the bag above his head, sucking in all enemy projectiles without taking damage. After 3 seconds, all projectiles consumed will be shot out as homing tiers that use Isaac's tier modifiers. It's a fun idea, but is only really effective in niche scenarios. C tier. Vault of Havoc is an active item unlocked by defeating Blue Baby as Tainted Apollyon. Killing an enemy with over 10 HP will increase this counter here, and you can't use the item until it reaches 12. Using the item will take you to a special vault room with one of 8 unique layouts. In this vault room, you'll find the 12 most recent enemies with over 10 HP you've killed, with the occasional pickup. Killing all the enemies and completing the challenge will grant you a reward based on how much HP the enemies had combined, scaling with the stage you're on. There are 3 tiers of rewards. The lowest tier grants a heart, soul heart, and golden heart. The second tier grants a chest, locked chest, and trinket, and the final tier just gives you an item from any pool in the game. It's fun, albeit chaotic and a little overtuned. That's an insane room! B tier. Red Rune is a rune unlocked by defeating Ultra Greed as Tainted Apollyon. It has multiple effects and is very similar to Black Rune. Firstly, it'll deal 40 damage to all enemies in the room. Second, it'll consume all pickups in the room, with each pickup having a 50% chance to be turned into a random 7 Seals Locust. Lastly, it'll convert all item pedestals in the room into Abyss Locusts. A tier. Tainted Rocks are unlocked by defeating Ultra Greed as Tainted Apollyon, while also having entered a super secret room 5 times in total, which you've probably done at this point, but whatever. They have a 10% chance to replace Spike Rocks, with upwards of 2 being able to appear per floor. They're basically Tinted Rocks but mischievous, dropping cracked keys, red runes, or red hearts. I think it's actually a pretty fun concept, even if it's a little basic. B tier. Fettered Heart is a new heart variant unlocked by finding Tainted Forgotten in the home floor. It costs a key to be picked up, grants a soul heart, and spawns a Spiritual Reserves Ghost on pickup with an outfit resembling Tainted Forgotten's soul. It's a cute B tier. Next up is a whole new set of runes unlocked by defeating Isaac as Tainted Forgotten. They're called Sin Jewels and are typically found by chance by defeating one of the 7 Deadly Sins mini-bosses, but can be obtained through other methods too. The effects are as follows. Cannon of Wrath creates explosions on all enemies. Every enemy killed in an explosion grants Isaac a fading 1.25 damage up. Mask of Envy turns all of Isaac's red heart containers into bone hearts that are filled with rotten hearts. Crown of Greed spawns 1 to 2 gold pennies and grants a permanent luck down for each gold penny spawned. Void of Gluttony will rapidly regenerate Isaac's red hearts over the course of 7 seconds, granting a permanent speed down every time. Killing enemies extends this effect by 2 seconds each. Apple of Pride grants a powerful all stats up, but is revoked once Isaac takes damage. Flower of Lust restarts the current room, guaranteeing a high value room clear reward such as dimes and black sacks. Finally, Acid of Sloth slows down all enemies in the room by 50%, causing them to leave behind poisonous gas clouds that only hurt Isaac. Most of these effects are actually pretty creative, and I like the way that these are spawned. A tier. Pure Soul is an item also unlocked by defeating Isaac as Tainted Forgotten. It causes all Sin mini-bosses to drop their Sin Jewel. It also grants this little guy that spawns a mini-boss in secret rooms, and warns the player what mini-boss is behind a door if there is one. B tier. Bone Meal is a trinket unlocked by defeating It Lives as Tainted Forgotten. At the start of every floor, it grants a permanent size increase and a 10% damage up. This thing is way too powerful. Also, Minecraft taught me that Bone Meal grows trees faster, so I'm sorely disappointed that this doesn't do that. For that reason, it goes in F tier. Actually, no, I don't care. We're putting this one in quarantine too. Wait, where'd the other one go? King of Clubs is a card unlocked by defeating Boss Rush as Tainted Forgotten. It's the same deal as King of Spades, except with bombs. B tier. Enraged Soul is an item unlocked by defeating Satan as Tainted Forgotten. Double tapping a fire direction will shoot out a special familiar. This familiar dashes forward, instantly killing enemies with 10 HP or less. If it doesn't instantly kill an enemy, it'll latch onto them for 7 seconds, dealing massive damage that scales with the stage over the course of 7 seconds. The familiar has a 5-second cooldown before it can be shot again, and cannot be shot if the familiar is still latched on onto an enemy. Another B tier. Handicapped Placard is another item inspired by a 4 Souls card that is unlocked by defeating Blue Baby as Tainted Forgotten. It places a placard on the ground with an aura that weakens enemies, making them take double damage. Enemies killed within this aura also shoot out bone spurs upon dying. The area of effect grows in size depending on how many empty heart containers Isaac has. This is actually a really cool effect, and I like how it utilizes the weakness status. A tier. Funeral Surface is a card unlocked by defeating Ultra Greed as Tainted Forgotten. All it does is spawn a single ult chest. C tier. The Hood is an item unlocked by obtaining all other Repentance Plus unlocks for Tainted Forgotten. It greatly increases the chance of finding fettered hearts and gives those stupid ghosts that I hate homing tears. It's fine though. B tier. Jeweled Item is a trinket also obtained by achieving all other Repentance Plus unlocks for Tainted Forgotten. It buffs all Sin Jewels besides Flower of Lust, removing any negative effect that one might hold. Canine of Wrath explosions no longer hurt Isaac, Crown of Greed no longer gives a luck down, Mask of Envy no longer turns your hearts into bone hearts, which feels like a nerf actually, but I don't make the rules. Void of Gluttony no longer gives a speed down, Apple of Pride grants a one-time Holy Mantle shield, and Acid of Sloth no longer makes enemies spawn poisonous gas clouds. A solid A tier. Next is Deadweight, a familiar also obtained by achieving all other Penance Plus unlocks for Tainted Forgotten. It gives a familiar that acts very similar to Tainted Forgotten's body, being able to be picked up and thrown. It won't be able to swing a bone club like Tainted Forgotten and can't fly over obstacles, instead shooting a ring of bone tears on collision with walls or rocks. It also blocks enemy projectiles. B tier. Lastly, for Tainted Forgotten is yet another unlock obtained by achieving all other Pens Plus unlocks for him, and is actually 2 unlocks combined into one. Firstly is Bag of Jewels, an active item that simply grants a Sin Jewel, and Jewel Crawlers, a new enemy type found in certain treasure, secret, and error room layouts. They're literally the gem crawlers from the Calamity mod for Terraria. Like, it's nearly 1-to-1. Even the old wiki for the mod admits this, mentioning that they hope they don't get a DMCA, but I don't think that's how that works. Anyway, these 2 unlocks are both B tiers. Zealot Hearts are a new heart variant unlocked by finding Bethany in the closet at home. They simply give Isaac a random Lemageddon wisp at the start of every new floor for each Zealot Heart. C tier. Empty Page is a trinket unlocked by defeating It Lives as Tainted Bethany. When Isaac uses a book active, there's a chance for an additional active item from a set list to be triggered as well. This chance scales up with the amount of charges the book requires. C tier. Library Card is a card unlocked by completing Boss Rush as Tainted Bethany. It uses a random book active item. There's really no nuance to how you use this, and it can use books with massive downsides such as Book of Revelations. F tier. Next is Sealing with the Stars, an item unlocked by defeating Satan as Tainted Bethany. It grants 2 random Lemageddon item wisps at the beginning of every floor or when Isaac sleeps in a bed, also putting these hanging stars in the starting room and bedrooms. During the ascent sequence, it only grants 1 item wisp. Also, it makes Isaac's eyes turn into stars, with a smile that one can only assume means he's ascended to some greater celestial plane. It's cute, but I'm putting it in C tier. Quasar is an active item unlocked by defeating Isaac as Tainted Bethany. It's like Void or Abyss, where it consumes items that are in the room or being held, but grants 3 random Lemageddon item wisps for each item consumed. It's an interesting trade-off, although it's likely not worth it in a lot of scenarios. B tier. Stargazer's Hat is an active item unlocked by defeating Blue Baby as Tainted Bethany. It's unique in that it's only charged by picking up soul hearts, requiring a full soul heart to be charged and only being able to be charged once per floor. On use, it spawns a Stargazer Beggar. Stargazers are unlocked and thus able to be spawned naturally in planetariums after entering 3 planetariums in total. They cost 7 cents to interact with and give random runes per interaction. After interacting enough times, their final payout will be any item with the stars tag, meaning any item relating to star signs, fortune telling, or other celestial doohickeys. If you remember from the beginning of the video, that Christmas beggar was actually a reskin of this guy. Chekhov's gun wins again. What does this thing do? Anyway, I think this guy would be a lot more interesting if he dropped more than one thing. Stargazer's Hat goes in D tier, and the Stargazer itself goes in C. Quasar Shard is unlocked by defeating Ultra Greed as Tainted Bethany. It deals 40 damage to all enemies in the room, and activates the effect of Quasar. C tier. Harderies are a new battery variant, unlocked by obtaining all other Repentance Plus unlocks for Tainted Bethany. It either grants 6 charges or heals a full red heart container if the player has maximum charge on their active item. There's also Soul Hardery, which is the same thing but with a soul heart. It's a fun concept and a fun name. A tier. Okay, we're on the final character and final heart variant now. Buckle up, because this one's gonna be a hell of a climax. Oh, hold on. Hello? Oh, the final heart variant is just a blended heart, but instead of giving either a soul heart or red heart, it gives a black heart or red heart. And that's all it does? Yeah, okay, got it. Okay, thanks. Bye. That was weird. I don't know whose number that was. This also isn't even my phone, so I don't know how that happened. Anyway, that's a D tier. Sibling Rivalry is a familiar unlocked by defeating It Lives as Tainted Jacob. It grants a familiar which alternates between two states. The first state sees these two conjoined twins punching each other, spewing blood creep and tooth tears everywhere. The second state has them quickly orbiting Isaac separately, dealing 3 damage per tick. I think this one has a lot of personality. A tier. Business Card is a card unlocked by clearing Boss Rush as Tainted Jacob. It simply triggers the effects of the Friend Finder item, spawning a friendly monster. D tier. Cheese Grater is an active item unlocked by defeating Satan as Tainted Jacob. It is infinitely usable but costs 1 heart container and grants 3 mini Isaacs upon use, as well as a stacking 7% damage multiplier. B tier. Red King is an item unlocked by defeating Isaac as Tainted Jacob. When defeating a boss, it opens a red trapdoor in the middle of the room. Entering this trapdoor takes you to a second boss battle with a difficult room layout. Completing this boss battle grants a choice between 2 items from the red room item pool. Shoutouts to this one Mask of Infamy layout that looks like it'd give me a brain aneurysm. A solid B tier. Tank Boys is a familiar unlocked by defeating Blue Baby as Tainted Jacob. It spawns a miniature Jacob and Esau, except they're both in tanks somehow, and they just love getting stuck on things. The green tank rapidly shoots bullets at nearby enemies that deal 3.5 damage, and the red tank shoots out rockets at nearby enemies that explode for 35 damage. These explosions can hurt Isaac. These guys really don't fit the game at all and are very finicky. D tier. Anti-Material Card is a card unlocked by defeating Ultra Greed as Tainted Jacob. It's essentially just a one-time use eraser, getting thrown in the direction Isaac is moving in upon use. C tier. Helicopter Boys is... oh god, not these guys again. Helicopter Boys is a familiar unlocked by obtaining all other Repentance Plus unlocks for Tainted Jacob. The green helicopter shoots bursts of little bullets that deal 0.7 damage to enemies, and the red helicopter shoots epic fetus shots that also hurt Isaac. As much as I don't want to admit it, the fact that they don't get caught on things makes them at least a B tier. We Need to Go Sideways is an active item also unlocked by obtaining all other Repentance Plus unlocks for Tainted Jacob. While held, dirt patches will spawn in secret rooms. If the item is used in a room with keys, those keys will disappear, and using the item again on the dirt patch will dig up the amount of keys consumed in cracked keys, which let you open a single red room door. I like red rooms a lot, so this item is fine. B tier. Okay, even though we finished talking about every unlock for every character in the mod, there are still 3 more unlocks obtained through various miscellaneous means that are usually met while playing the game naturally. Firstly are coffins, unlocked by entering 10 secret rooms in total. They appear in a few secret room layouts and require 2 bombs to open. They can give bone orbitals, friendly bony enemies, bone hearts, or a bone-related item. B tier. Scarlet chests are a new chest variant unlocked by entering 3 ultra secret rooms in total. They can only be opened by anything that opens red rooms, such as Cracked Key, Red Key, Soul of Cain, and even Crystal Key, though that trinket only has a 33% chance to open the chest. It's pretty powerful, granting either a random item from the ultra secret room pool, 1 to 2 reverse tarot cards, or most rarely 5 to 15 keys. It's a unique idea, I'll give them that, even though it's incredibly hard to open. C tier. Okay, the moment you've all been waiting for. This next item is unlocked by obtaining every other Repentance Plus unlock. It's the ultimate item for the mod, being put up to the likes of Mega Blast, Mega Mush, Death Certificate, Delirious, well, no, Delirious sucks, maybe not that last one. Ladies and gentlemen and everyone else, I present you the ultimate unlock, Birth Certificate. Yeah, it's just Death Certificate, but trinkets. I guess it's fitting, kinda, but I was expecting something more inspired. Using it takes you to a special room with every trinket in the game. You can take 1 trinket or 2 if you have mom's purse or belly button before being teleported out. It feels a little weird putting the mod's ultimate item in C tier, but what can I say? I'm a critic at heart. And that's every single thing found in the Repentance Plus mod. It's clear that a ton of effort has been put into this mod, and the amount of content within it is nothing to scoff at. Even though it has a really confusing name and the developers are adamant on not changing it, I think this mod has merit and showcases what early Repentance modding looked like. This video obviously took a while, so please like and subscribe for more. You'll put a big old grin on my face. That's all.